Maybe have a less smudged up. What'd you get on your camera?
I don't know. I'm just trying to make it less smudged.
John, I had yesterday. Went to a bar to get dinner with a couple of buddies. Watched the games that were on. Terrible Thursday night game, which we're going to talk about. And the Yankees game was on because we were just in like one of the most New Jersey bars that we could have been in. It's a bar that's got really good pizza. It's one of those types of places. And everybody was locked in watching this Yankees game. I appreciate this aspect of moving back to the East Coast because this would have never happened in a bar in Los Angeles. But the minute that the go ahead or the tying home run that was hit by Noel that tied the game.
Yes.
There was just a loud, somebody yells, everybody goes, oh, somebody goes, shit. And I started laughing my ass off because it's just the best vibe in a bar when everyone's collectively mad. Some dude knocked over what was on his table and just yells.
That's great. It's baseball country up here.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure everywhere else in America is sick of like people from New York talking about New York baseball and the hot dogs and the bagels. Yeah. But it's real. Like there is a passion for baseball, and I know it's not stickball in the back alley anymore. But it's
what
like
that?
People love watch a movie and you'd understand. But it's like people really do care about the Yankees and the Mets. They really have a passion for it. It's family ties, and the frustrations have been great. I mean, the Mets going down really bad in really ugly fashion is tough.
Well,
I know
they're smoked yesterday.
They're all miserable, and a Yankees crazy walk-off loss. I mean, the calls, the theater, everything has been fantastic about this. And every Yankees fan just has their own. They got their own lineup. Who we need to start. Who we need to put on the mound. Everyone's a manager up here.
Another thing that I love about this region specifically, because I don't think that Washington fans, I know that they're very passionate, but they're not as crazy as the New York
Nats fans.
Just fans in the DC, Virginia area. I know that they're passionate. They are.
They're khaki fans.
Yeah. The New York, Boston region of fans, and we listen to plenty of Boston radio when we were going to school in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
The fans in this area, they will call into these radio shows. And the radio markets here will never die for this reason, because some loon will just pitch the stupidest thing ever. And I was listening. I always love when I get these recommendations for Michael K clips on TikTok. I need more of them.
That's a good algorithm.
And yeah, LaGreca and him get so mad at these people. And LaGreca's like, I'm sick of these mouth breathers calling in. And some guy called in and was like, I think the Yankees need to start Birdie, who I think is a backup player in their rotation.
Dude.
And Michael K goes, how many games have you seen him play? This guy was going on and on. I love the way that he plays. I love the way he plays. And this old guy who's probably 60 or 70 is like, well, I've only seen him play once. It's like, okay, so you're just saying, he was saying bench Chaz Chisholm, who has been phenomenal and maybe a little slow recently, but like phenomenal in favor of
you can't do that.
A backup player.
Yeah, for every Frank the Tank that gets the spotlight, there's 1,000 Frank the Tanks that are sitting in Queens with, steaming mad every single night. I mean, Bobo on the O&A show was a fantastic Mets fan to track. There's just a weird thing about baseball fans here. It's like if you are like at rock bottom, right? If you are living in a basement, living on a buddy's couch, you still know everything about the Mets or the Yankees. You're still watching every single game, which I respect. I really have to at this point.
All right, we're going to hit the break. We've got a lot of questions to get to. We're not going to spend a lot of time this week on Thursday Night Football just because the game last night was horrid. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was one of those games where you look away and then you look back and it's like, oh, there was another 7-yard carry and nobody scored.
You didn't like the Bo Nix versus Spencer Rattler shoot battle? Oh, it was fantastic.
Well, it was very funny trying to ask the people at the bar, the people working at the bar, to put that game on during the Yankees meltdown. No, they kept kind of nodding at us and then walking away, and then nobody put it on.
That's kind of on you there. I honestly, normally I'm with you for putting the right thing on the TV. That was the wrong thing.
Especially considering I called in, and I still don't know which woman this was, because when I walked in, none of the women that were working at the bar sounded at all like the person I spoke to on the phone. But I called in and simply asked, hey, how hard would it be to get a table for 7 people for us to put a name in or something? Normal thing. I've done that at bars before a million times, and I got yelled at. I got screamed at. Another thing that makes me happy to be back. All right, let's hit the break.
And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we are going to be answering listener questions. If you want to send them over in the future, 201-834-4308. We also kindly want to ask you, if you're tuning in on audio, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Let us know in the review what you think of the show. If you're not going to leave a 5-star review, don't share your thoughts. We don't care. But also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's just Hack City, as well as following us on Twitter at Hack City Pod. Sean, we also mentioned just some quick thoughts on the Thursday night football game. I really don't have.
Could I give some quick thoughts on Bet Online briefly?
Oh, shoot. Yes,
I would love to do that.
Forgot that we have a sponsor.
Bet Online.
Unimportant.
The world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything sports betting. We got more baseball tonight. Dodgers favored by a 1.5. Guardians underdogs by a 1.5 versus the Yankees. Yanks Guardians. That's a toss-up. After last night, I don't know what the hell is going to happen there. But Dodgers favored by 2 runs. Yeah, I like that. That team is bulldozer city right now, and I don't care about the underdog scrappy Mets. Oh, we put us in a corner. We'll punch our way out. I don't think so, pal. The Dodgers are an absolute wagon, and if I'm putting bets down on baseball, I'm doing it at Bet Online because they have every stat, every matchup breakdown, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. So if you're one of these diehard Mets fans, leave it on the Mets. Wait till they go down by 5 and try to snipe a nice line if you really do think they're going to come back. When the game's over, head on over to Bet Online's online casino, get in on a game of blackjack, poker. They got 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here.
What's Colin talking about? Herb Street's dog. Clearly, you haven't been listening, Colin, because I'm on a heater right now on picking games. Get up, get caught up.
Your NFL heater.
I'm still
ridiculous.
over 50% on the show, and then also on other outlets that I've been giving my picks. I'm in the 70s, so I don't want to hear it. Saints ended up getting their asses kicked with Spencer Rattler last night, starting for God. Why is my keyboard? The keyboard still is not. I got to completely restart my computer. Can't type anything yet. So we're just kind of guessing here. Spencer Rattler led Saints, were lifeless. Bo Nix had a good performance. Statistically, it wasn't anything special. He didn't cross the 200-yard mark. I just want to spend a quick second here, Sean, discussing on our thoughts on how we think he's performed so far this year. There's certainly a lot of love that's going to Jaden Daniels, who's breaking records. He deserves to be the highest praised. Caleb Williams has had improvements and steps forward on a week-to-week basis, and he's starting to hit his rhythm. And then lastly, we have guys like Bo Nix, who has stepped in and been the starter since the start of the year. I feel good about him starting for this Broncos team. I mean, they're good enough to maybe sneak into the wild card because of how good their defense is. I think for any worries, he's at least a tier above the Kenny Pickett archetype, which is played a lot of snaps, a lot of really good stats in college, and then just can't make any tough decisions. I feel like Bo Nix is at least a little bit more willing to take some chances.
I don't like that people are trying to make like Bo Nix a memeable quarterback with every bad throw. He had one throw in the first quarter. It landed in between 2 receivers. I guess that's the first time that's ever happened in a game. It happens to you every single time you play a football video game, because you don't know how to play quarterback. And I know it because it happens to me plenty. So all the subtle wishing Bo Nix is a bust or trying to make him out to be this goofy quarterback, he's got a little bit of juice, and he is also very jittery. One is good, one is bad. His running ability has shocked me in the NFL. I didn't think he was going to be able to translate all that strongly.
He's a very underrated athlete.
He was moving on a couple runs last night, 75 yards on the ground, 164 in the air. Yeah, some of the incompletions are rough. Some of them don't skip on the ground to the receiver's feet. He's got some footwork stuff that Herbstreit was pointing out last night. It does need to get worked out. That's the jittery side of things. I think once Bo Nix finally gets a little composed and has confidence in striking and delivering that ball down the field, he's going to be a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. But the whole narrative of Bo Nix, we're going to keep on posting every bad throw, everything like that, and like highly reputable accounts, Joe, like people that I've like respected their opinion on football before, and they're just like, oh my God, can you believe this? First rounder money, all this stuff. Give me a break. He's doing fine. And the Broncos aren't going to make any noise this year. Did you expect them to? No, you didn't. So let this process work out. He's getting some burn. He's beating the Saints by 23 points, which is fantastic. Oh, I loved it. All this miserable Saints fans with bags over their faces on Drew Brees night. You loser hack. Ha ha. Our quarterback got his Ring of Honor night. We won.
All right.
Drew Brees.
Remove your
Can't do it. Won't do it.
Upset Falcons fan. You
nice halftime speech, loser.
All right. Settle down over
You're
there.
Drew Brees defender over here?
No, you're just being a fan. Stop being such a fan.
I
for
will
2
be a
seconds.
fan and an anti-fan for New Orleans. You have to understand these scenarios.
Look, go back to Bo Nix. I think is getting it to what you're talking about. Like the nitpickers are playing into him way too much. And it was something that happened during the draft process. Like I felt like a lot of people were like, well, he's accurate, but can he do what Caleb Williams does? And no, that's not what we're asking. It felt like that there was this description and hope that, or not description and hope, but more of a knock that Bo Nix would never be a top 5 quarterback. That's right. He's not. He's not built to be. He's not that type of a playmaker like Caleb Williams, like Jaden Daniels, like Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders in the upcoming class. But he's super experienced, playing for a team that needed an experienced player. And you mentioned how him on the ground, we forget when he was at Auburn, his best trait was being a runner. Like he was seriously hard to keep up with. That was why he was so strong as a freshman. And then he tried to over rely on it and he learned how to be a better passer. I think if there's somebody in this class who ends up being just like super steady, and I'm trying to think of a comp of somebody who's like very down the middle in the NFL right now that was a first rounder that's just kind of hung in there.
Oh, goodness. Quarterbacks?
I'm trying to think of just hung around. It hasn't never really been top 10, but has always just gotten the job done. And
Was Goff a first rounder?
But he was a second overall pick, though. I don't know if I'd compare him to him. If we come up with a good comparison for him, but regardless, I think he could be steady for what he's done to this point. And as you mentioned, the expectation for Denver, everyone thought, oh, this is going to be a mess. Every expert show that I listened to and had the opportunity to produce, we're all saying that, like, I didn't really get what they were doing this offseason. Well, they put together a really good defense, a pretty strong run game, and a rookie quarterback who is playing well enough that this team continues to win games. And it's not like they showed up against the Saints and they slopped it out. They beat them handedly. They dominated them. They kicked the crap out of them.
That was great.
That's the sign of a good football team, a well-coached football team.
Yeah, that Denver defense is legit. Everyone, nobody watches Broncos games. Okay, I get it. It's the afternoon time slot. Most of the fans that we're talking to are on the East Coast or the Midwest. So they're Packers fans or East Coast football fans. So you're not getting a ton of eyes on Denver unless you got Red Zone. Why would you want to watch them anyway? They've been boring. But when you start actually diving in, you notice how good that defense is. The defensive line is solid. The linebackers, not great, but they flow fast. And the defensive backfield doesn't give up a lot of stuff. Was New Orleans severely injured last night? Yeah, Derek Carr was out. Olave was out. Rashid Shaheed was out. Werner was out on the defensive as a linebacker. Stupid Taysom Hill was out. That was sick also.
All right.
What? Oh, I can't be a fan? It's freaking Hack City. Give me a break. Drew, unclutch your pearls.
No. You're like sitting over here rooting for injuries.
No.
Settle yourself.
I'm rooting for Saints downfall, which was great. But this Denver defense is going to be like what the Jets were last year, where the offense, if it's not clicking, they can keep them in games, which is important. I thought the Jets defense was going to be similar this year. It's similar to like what I thought the Browns were going to be like this year. I didn't think they were going to be super potent offensively, but the defense I thought could have gotten them in games. Now they're 1-5. Denver, opposite side of the spectrum. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. And even if the offense stalls out, it's not going to be easy going to go score on them.
Sean, this week it was announced that Tom Brady was going to be added as a minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders, and yet this still doesn't take him out of the booth, which I've been rooting for. I think he's terrible. I think he's just boring as all hell. And I said this from the jump. I said this years ago when he was announced that he was getting this contract, that he was going to be boring and uninteresting, because you know what he is? He's a hardo. He doesn't know how to be funny. He doesn't know how to be interesting. This is what I'm seeing, and this is how this play happened. There's no personality with Tom Brady. Now, is he fun to listen to from a motivational standpoint? Yes, he's one of the best motivational speakers and probably could be a great corporate speaker, but I don't think he's meant to be in the booth. And one of the restrictions that were pointed out now that he has this role and he's going to stay in the booth is that he's not permitted to be in another team's facility. He's not permitted to witness another team's practice. He's not permitted to attend broadcast production meetings either in person or virtually. He's prohibited from publicly criticizing game officials or other clubs, which I don't know how you're going to do, subject to the NFL's gambling policy and subject to the NFL's anti-tampering policy. Why would he still try to commentate? I don't understand why you'd want to do.
It's a dream job. You're getting $14 million a year to show up on Sunday.
But why would Fox even want to sign up for this? Like, what are you getting out of this? That he can't do the due diligence? And some of the best conversations that you listen to in the booth is when you hear a color commentator reference, hey, we talked to this guy this week, an unheralded player, and he's stepping up in this game. We talked to the coach who said, hey, watch out for this guy because we're going to turn to him. When you get that information, that's what makes it compelling. So he's just a doofus who's just standing there every Sunday. All right, this is what I'm seeing.
You know what?
It's just doing bare level analysis. Forget that he's got the dream job. He's doing 10% bare level analysis.
Dream job. But look,
he gets so many handouts.
It's
ridiculous.
True. Like, look, Greg Olsen and is now just become the ultimate baby face in this situation. Oh, he should be in the 1A booth. And I think you're right. Having the unparalleled access.
Seriously, put Greg Olsen in the primary booth and demote him to the C group.
I think that Tom Brady has improved, but here's the thing. We kind of liked it. He improved because Tom Brady started getting a little more unhinged when talking about other teams doing dumb stuff. Oh, no, I can't believe you're doing it. Call a timeout. Oh, no, all that stuff. If you can't do that now, then it's just Tom Brady in a suit, which is just Tom Brady in a suit. Rather uninteresting, rather boring, very vanilla. And if he wants to say, I think they're go Tony Romo situation, what would I do here? Fine. I think there's still some value and there's still a place for that. But for the most part, I think fans want to learn about the game from the NFL quarterback that's won 7 Super Bowls, or they want to hear him react to what's going on the field. And if he can't really do that, that's going to be tough.
Ryan's asking if we'd rather have Jason Witten or Tom Brady. I'd rather still have Tom Brady. Jason Witten couldn't even put a sentence together. That man had no idea what he was doing in that booth.
Yeah, tight ends are better fit for like social videos and commercials than sitting and analyzing. They're big meatheads and they block and they catch and they run. It's the dream job in football, but you can't really take that with you.
Sean, before we get to the hack of the week on the show, we should probably get to do a sounder for that if you have the time. But hack of the week, where we share who is the biggest hack that we noticed this week. This applies to media, just general fans, people in sports, or just people in general. And I've got one that is a much broader. This is not a sports specific one. It was one that bothered me that I saw on Twitter. There is this trend, and it's more of like a millennial thing, and these goobers that do this whole PowerPoint night thing. So this guy on Twitter at Pitt Desi, I love this idea, and I'm planning one, a night where all of your friends make a presentation on what they do at work and answer questions. I don't know much about what many of my friends do for a living. Someone quote tweeted, work, retire, die. Actually have zero interest in what my friends do for work. It's either interesting or I'll be jealous, or boring and I'll be bored. I only want to get drunk and talk about other times we got drunk.
Yeah.
To just break that down, I completely agree with that aspect of it. One, this concept of learning what your friends do for work is so stupid. I've got friends who I have no idea what they do for work, and they try to tell me about it. I've got friends who sometimes, like I had a buddy call me yesterday who was trying to get me to help him with something with work, and I told him no because I don't care.
What do you help him with?
He wanted me. He works in sales for some for some like app marketing company where like they handle marketing. See how boring this sounds?
Yeah, I
And he wanted me to connect him.
If anybody
See?
live actually was looking at me, you could see my eyes glaze
Yeah,
over, and I started.
I
looking
don't
at-
want to explain it. I
I
don't want to explain it, but he was asking me to connect him with somebody from when I interned at NFL, and I was like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. Like, that's such an awkward conversation. I'm like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm sorry. Like, I love you, dude, but I'm not doing this. Anytime, and one of my friends is super boring if he sits there and tries to talk about work. He works for a freaking like telecom company that handles telephone poles and shit. No idea what he does. I know he runs spreadsheets, and he's tried to explain work stuff to me, and I've told him, brother, please stop. I don't care. I don't care. Let's talk about stupid crap that happened this week and laugh about something that we saw online. That's all I want to do. But this whole, not to cut you off, but to finish my point, there's this trend where you see all of these friend groups do the PowerPoint night thing. It just means to me that your friend group is boring and that you've got nothing interesting to do, and you can't just sit out in public or in your buddy's living room, have drinks or even not have drinks, and have conversations with one another. That you need to provide some sort of a stimulus. And more importantly, you losers are so entrenched in the corporate lifestyle of, I needed to make a PowerPoint this week to display this, so now I need to convey all of my thoughts and feelings through PowerPoints. Please, your job is boring and stupid. Please stop allowing for that to step into your personal lives. Be human. Please be human.
This is look, I overwhelmingly agree with you. For someone that needs to have a screen on them watching a game in many public settings, a little bit ironic, but
these are also the typical people. I know I keep cutting you off here. These are the people that are like, I don't really like sports. These are the same people.
I got it. It's that grouping of people. I think that if people spent a week with you, they would consider you hardworking yet boring. But you have never pitched me some nonsense like this. You've never said, "Hey,
no,
my friends want to do this fun, make a special themed drink party." All this nonsense. No. I want to get a beer. I want to sit at a bar. I want to complain about Sky Rizzy commercials. That's what I want to do. That's what's fun.
And to not point,
it's not this. You want me to make a PowerPoint on my free time? Are you guys like making PowerPoints? You're the problem.
Yeah.
God,
you must be one of the most boring people to hang. It's kind of like when you go to the reunion night thing on Thanksgiving, when you go back to your hometown to have dinner with your family and stuff on Thursday, and you go out on the Wednesday night. I don't think your town does it as much as mine does because it's more spread out.
Oh, we've got a nice centralization.
But we do that at this one bar, and then you talk to people, and it's like, dude, you do the most dumb, boring thing ever. If I was doing what you were doing, even though you're probably making like a decent change about more money than I am, not enough to justify doing what's so boring. The PowerPoint jockeys are such boring, dumb people. And if you bring up in a conversation about your stupid PowerPoints and try to push it on people, you have no interesting aspects of your life. Get a fucking hobby. PowerPoints aren't a hobby.
When I was living in Arlington, Virginia, I was working a remote job, and I had a roommate that was working a remote job. And at times I would go downstairs, eat my lunch, and he would be in meetings, and I would sit there and listen to the meetings just cause it was just, he had his office in the living room, somewhat similar to our setup almost. And I would hear these conversations with his bosses and with his clients and all this. And I was like, this is like getting hit in the back of the head with hammers. I cannot believe how boring this is, how many acronyms are being used. I couldn't take it. It was literally painful to hear. And I don't want to learn more about that. My friends, and I think your friends, have never fully understand what we do at any point for work. Like, okay, you do a podcast. Okay, you produce. Okay, you do what now? And they'll never fully understand because it's so different from sales, corporate sales, government work. And I don't need to learn more about it. I've never known what my dad has done for work my entire life. He's explained it to me multiple times. I've made earnest efforts to try to learn and understand what it is. I don't know. I can't follow that conversation or track it. It is, it's really unfortunate. And I don't need to know what my friends do for work.
All right, your hack of the week.
My hack of the week, UVA coach Tony Bennett deciding yesterday to step down from the UVA basketball program just days before their season kicks off. Bennett has been there for 15 years. Bennett also has made statements about the game being in a bad place, college athletics being in an unhealthy place, and that there needs to be collective bargaining, that he thinks that NIL is fine, but it's not right for him, and that he was meant to coach the old style way of basketball, which if you're going to go out there and make a big statement like that, I think it holds more value if you're sticking around and you're going to fight it on the front lines. I don't like that you're doing this right now before your team kicks off. And you got to, some people were praising that it's like an old school basketball move. So he knows that his guy can get the job and they don't have to outsource and go outside hire. I don't care. It's way too, if you knew you were going to do this, just do it. All right. I know everyone's got their time. I know the Andrew Luck moments can happen. But if you are sitting here plotting and you had this entire thought about all this off season, it's just not for me. I'm really not liking what I'm seeing. Then get out. Then stop it now, because now you got guys in your team that wanted to play for the legendary Tony Bennett that has taken UVA to so many consecutive Final Fours, that got a national championship win in 2019. That has done a lot of good stuff. You play for Tony Bennett, you think you're going to learn something about basketball. You don't know that with whoever's stepping up after him. It's a hack move to just to wait it out right before the season starts. I remember the calls that were getting made for Sua Cravens, and when he decided to retire in the middle of preseason football. You're going to have some pushback on this, rightfully so. It's kind of a cowardly move to do it at this point. Even if I agree with a lot of the rationalization and the points that you're making, it doesn't matter. Do it earlier or don't do it at all. Stick it out for the season. Nick Saban had the nice grace that as soon as that season ended, he said, I'm done. Maybe I'll take a couple weeks and think about it. And there was some speculation. Who cares? He was out lickety split. A recruiting cycle was still happening. You knew that you would have time to set some things up. And if guys wanted to leave, they could leave. And if Kale and DeBoer want to bring people in, he could do that. That's the right way to do it. Saban, again, setting the standard. Like him or hate him, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's very terrible timing, very stupid timing. I was listening to Jeff Goodman talk about this, and he kind of had similar, or not similar sentiments, but he kind of provided the context of it sounded like he just wanted out. Like he couldn't take it anymore. Go coach high school ball. It does feel like a cop-out. It feels super, super lame that this is now what we're kind of working with, that coaches are just bailing because they don't want to deal with the dynamics. And he's probably right that there does need to be a more structured system for dealing with NIL and athletes. And I've always pushed that. But at the same time, to make this decision right before the season starts is pretty pathetic.
It's just not what you do. And your sentiments are fine. But goodness gracious, you're just leaving a lot of people out to hold the rest of the rope, where you just said, I'm done with it. Then be done with it. If he wants to coach you're right. Coach high school ball. And I think old school coaches deciding to tap out, if you really don't think it's for you, good. That's a good thing. If you're from a bygone era, be from a bygone era. Let some of these new guys, these new hungry coaches that are willing to work with NIL and the players step in. And I think they will. I think that eventually the college coaching scheme will evolve and the old school guys will go professional or to a different system. But goodness, the timing couldn't have been worse.
All right, time for the hack bag that we do every single week. Leave us a voicemail, 201-834-4308. We'll always answer the voicemails first, and we're always going to be pushing those. But let's get to the hack bag.
The mail never stops.
This is the Hack Bag. Hit us on Twitter for questions or call at 201-834-4308.
Ryan's always distracting me and
mail-
texting me.
Oh, my God. Why are you looking
Never
at
stops.
It's just such a dumb function. But that's part of the...
I like hearing Wayne Knight run it back, though. That's always fun for me.
All right, first one that we have here is titled Superior Dome.
Here, fellas. This is Big Nick Rick, just calling in from Escanaba up in the UP, it's the Superior State. Long-time listener, first-time caller. That's quite the message you got at the start here when I call in, but I appreciate it. You got my consent to use this voicemail if you like, there it is. But, you guys talk a lot about the FCS, and, I really appreciate it, but the domes and all that, and that silly kiddie dome. But I think it's about time you guys start talking about the Superior Dome. that is the superior dome in the country, don't you know? It's the largest wooden dome in the country there, hey, and we're not real great at Northern Michigan. We may have lost to a D3 team this year, which ain't so good, but, we're doing okay, and I think it'd be worth your time to talk about the Upper Dome, up in the UP of Michigan here, in case you didn't know where that is. It's way up in the UP, up in Marquette, Michigan there, hey. And, I was just wondering, you guys, we got a whole bunch of guys talking at coffee, and they go, what the heck City Boys say, so I was wondering if you guys would put up, for like a D2 even to get into that there contest you boys do and get you up to the Superior Dome up in Marquette here, hey. So anyways, I don't have a question. I just wanted to call and then talk onto your voicemail for a bit there. Hey, I'm going to get back at her. I got some trees to cut down in the backyard. So you have a good day, fellas. All right. Bye.
That might be my favorite voice. That's a new listener. Or is it somebody
new caller? Yeah, look, that voice is so good. I don't know if it's a bit or not, because it's unbelievably Midwest, and I appreciate. We love domes on this show.
Yeah.
We love the QB Dome. We love the Fargo Dome. Big fans of the domes. The Upper Dome or the Superior Dome is
a little small.
Madness, though.
Look at the waterfront though that this thing is on.
Dude, this is
I want to go see this thing.
This is a crazy dome, and if you're on like Boston College's campus, they have some crazy architecture with their domes. It kind of looks like a tortoise back, which I'm a fan of. The jutting triangles outside of it.
God, the location of this is serene. It's beautiful.
I don't know if that guy was a bit. I
think he was serious.
I can't even
look at this. Look at how beautiful that looks.
I gotcha. It's pretty incredible thinking about that. This dome has just been sitting there quietly for so long, and now we have to start bringing it up in the all-time dome conversations.
By the way, did we get any? I would like for more people to call in and pitch us on domes. Did we get any other Mercer suggestions on the name? No, we didn't get it. You people stink. Just kidding. That was a great one. New listener leaving a voicemail. We get the same people leaving voicemails. I would love to hear more people leave voicemails. This is somebody I can assume. This is exactly who I think it is. This next one.
Yeah.
Long time, 6 time. It's Danny again. I got
track.
Takis Kettles. That's Kettles with a Z. It looks like it's just kettle chips, but Takis. I'm here in the Safeway parking lot. And I don't have any water on me. I do have water. Actually,
such a good storyteller.
Water bottle that's been sitting in my car for probably about a week straight, and I'm sure the plastics have leached into it. So we'll just kind of bear this. Not too crazy far from home, but my stomach's empty. We're going to give this a try. Apparently, they're actually a little bit hotter than the regular Takis, which I can't even really stand that well.
I still want the drive-through call.
I usually think it's worth the punishment. But anyways, let's get this bag open. Whew, okay. Smells about the same. Still strong. We'll go for a long, flat one. Just kind of maximize surface area, but also, the novelty of having it not be rolled up. All right. It looks about the same. Doesn't really look all that appealing. Just some red dust on a regular old potato chip. But let's give it a go.
So detailed. The storytelling. He should be a documentarian.
Yeah. It's not great. I mean, I think actually having the roll is a nice component of the Taki. Kind of keeps it crisp. I always kind of prefer chips that are
We're not even there.
over themselves.
Barely halfway there.
Extra level of crunch to it, I guess. So
are we going to time limit on
the spice is about the same. Actually, I think it's a little bit less. But kind of the thing with Takis is it's more of like a.
I don't even know what flavor he's eating. I've never heard of this before.
Sonic Hedgehog. This is hefty, and it usually gets rolling after 5 or 6 Takis. So we'll go in for one more. If I don't feel anything too strongly, I think I'll just call it there. But let's.
I think it would have been funnier if the call just ended after
Taki style almost.
After all that lead up, and then.
But again, it was just kind of like eating an original Taki. They're a bit thinner, right? These aren't really corn chips or potato chips, so. Different composure, different texture, but
composure's not the right word.
Composition.
I would say
composition.
These, I wouldn't buy those with the original Takis, but if they were at a party, and as long as I had a drink around, if I plan to have more than a couple, I think I'd go for it, So, anyways, that's what I'm up to.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that as always. the creativity on a week-to-week basis. Again, I want somebody to call in while they're going through the drive-through. Have some fun with it. Ask the drive-through person to contribute to the conversation.
Oh, good God.
Hey,
Now
what are your thoughts on Hack City?
we're doing some layered bits here. I like the chip review. The Taki kettle chips, I believe, is what he was reviewing. You know what? As someone who has dabbled and tried to see if any Takis could be better or any different type of format.
Oh, these look terrible.
They're not good. They're not better than the regular rolls. Just stick with the regular rolls. It's the perfect amount of dusting on them. It's also the perfect texture for a Taki that you're going to want. I mean, last Friday you had the Taki wings, Taki lime wings. They were fine, but it's not going to be better than that original formatting for the Taki. I appreciate the chip review. If other people want to do their chip reviews, they see an interesting product. We will happily listen.
You better tell a story as good as Dan does, though.
Oh, that's going to be hard to do. He gives his whole process. He's breaking down the chip. He's doing everything he needs to do.
Again, documentarian. I think he should be a documentarian on I don't know what, but his ability to share specific details on everything that he's doing and be descriptive, it's a talent. It certainly is a talent.
Well, yeah, Safeway parking lot eating Taki kettle chips.
I felt like I was in the back of the car with him, watching him, or I was sitting on the hood of his car, face pressed up against the windshield, watching him eat these.
You're saying he transported you to a different place.
Yeah, I felt like, again, why he would be a great documentarian. I felt like he brought me to the scene. I think that we need more listeners to be this creative instead of Colin calling in with a song that somebody else made.
That was also pre-recorded and it was obviously played off his laptop. Bad bit. But yeah, that's definitely fun. Definitely solid. Appreciate it, Dan. You're hitting home runs this season. Out of the park, clearing.
Yeah, listener number one at the current moment with voicemail deliverer number one. We can't crown the listener number one.
You think he's better than Big Slick Rick or whatever that gentleman's name was from the?
Well,
UP?
he's only left one, but that was a great. And it kind of makes me appreciate the geography that we're covering here. That we've got somebody who's a Northern Michigan fan who's pitching us there. I think that he's now a riser. He's a sleeper, but Dan is currently number one.
So he's on the board.
He's on the board.
That's all that matters. Get on the board, people.
All right, let's get through these questions here before we wrap up today's show. Chester asks, how many White Castle sliders could you eat in a sitting? # real shitters. Chester gets it. Man, those are they're easy to eat. And I think that if you, here's always a big misconception with eating a lot of food. If you approach it on, I need to pace myself, you dig yourself into an enormous hole.
Oh, yeah.
You got to eat as quickly as possible before the satiation hits. I would say I think I could do 30.
I think I could do 30. I think it would be also easier.
30.
If you could break it down in from the chicken slider, the jalapeno cheddar slider, just the cheese slider, and the regular original. If you could start intermixing those, I think that becomes a lot easier, and it doesn't feel like you're continuously eating the same bite over and over because it is the same bite. It's 2 bites of slider.
So when we say one sitting, though, does that allow for us to like we just can't get up, or it just means that, let's say 30 minutes passes in between eating that immediately ends your clock or something?
I think that one sitting would pertain to, hey, you and me are rolling into this White Castle and we're going to do some damage. And whenever the damage is done, whenever we're done, we're done. So yeah, 30 is definitely the baseline low number. If you get in a rhythm and you get a good drink mix, I think you're good. You don't want to mess around with any of the other sides. They're good, but no, that is one thing I've enjoyed since being up here is actual White Castle, opposed to there's none in Virginia.
Have you gone to White Castle since being here?
I ordered it once. It was solid. It was good.
I don't know how I didn't notice that.
I enjoyed it. It was, and I really appreciate it. I know people in the South have Crystal Burger, which is the exact same thing, except a little Southern. But yeah, it's nice to not be in the dead zone of culture that is Northern Virginia.
Our next question we got from Brendan. If you had to get a pet that wasn't a dog or a cat, what would you get? I don't know why the first thing I thought of was like a porcupine. I feel like those would be sick.
Here's no.
That'd be a problem. Or like a groundhog. I feel like those would be sick. Like a marmot.
I don't think. I think.
Or what the capybaras are pretty sick.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't seem like they got a lot going on up top, so they're kind of just vibing.
If I could tame a raccoon, I would. I like that they got their little paws. I think they're rather
Raccoons are
cute.
pretty sick.
Foxes are obviously feral and make weird noises, but I think they're rather cuddly. A little bit of dog cat
Prairie
mix.
dogs too seem like they got good vibes. Got a lot of thinking going on.
I think you would have to get multiple. I don't
want
you
anything
could separate from the
smart.
group.
I don't want anything smart. I'd get multiple. I think that a nice flock of them just vibing.
I'd never go bird, even though I know people that have birds.
Birds are overrated.
People that have birds
loud,
for 30 years.
They're angry.
Yeah, but they love them. They live too long, which is a little cynical to say, but they do. Lizards, I'm good. Don't ever want a snake ever in my life. Yeah, I mean, fish doesn't really count.
Reptiles are overrated, and then yes, fish.
Like the bearded dragons are goofy, but there's upkeep. Like
Yeah.
you got to unclog their nostrils, and then you always got to go get crickets and stuff to feed them. I'm not going
I
to
feel
get
like a pig would be cool too.
little potbelly pig.
No. Like I'm talking, and I'm not talking about like a farm pig that's like in a pen somewhere. No, I'm talking about like one of those big hosses that are just in your apartment.
I think I'm trying to vision for like current circumstances, because obviously if I'm living on a farm, it's going to be every type of animal. I'm going to have a great time.
Yeah, we're talking about like normal suburb or apartment living. Like I'm talking about like an absolute unit of a pig.
You know what I've heard people actually enjoy? There was one family in my neighborhood growing up that had one, a ferret. I've heard that people don't mind the ferret.
You know who had Marky Clark had a ferret.
Did he really?
He brought it into the locker room. You didn't know that? You didn't know this? He brought the damn thing in the locker room. He couldn't catch the thing. You didn't know this?
No, I had no idea.
The stupid thing was right there. It was during the summer one time. He brought it into the locker room. And we're like, Marky, what are you doing? Why is there a ferret running around our locker room? It's like, oh man, it's my ferret. It's like, what? He played it off like it was the most normal thing ever.
Oh, dude. Marky is the best.
This guy, one of the most random people ever.
Was it cute? Was the ferret?
Yeah, he was chilling. He wasn't going that crazy, but like he was just running around the locker room.
Evidently, it wasn't very well tamed.
No. I don't think you buy a ferret because you want a well-tamed animal. You get it for the chaos that it provides.
Oh, that is hilarious. I had no clue, and I wouldn't get a turtle. Turtles stink. I've
those
kidnapped,
are stupid and lame.
I've taken many turtles from parks and tried to make it work before in adolescence, and even into my late teens. I was still trying to make turtles work. They stink. They don't like.
They smell.
They kind of smell.
I'd get one.
I had a turtle sitting in a fish tank, and it was like an aquatic turtle, and I kept on chopping up hot dogs and putting it in it. So I ended up.
You're supposed to do that.
I ended up having just a turtle and hot dog water for about a day. So it was really. I'm like, yeah, he really does not seem to be having a good time. He didn't even eat a chunk. I was
killing that. You didn't even try to eat it. Oh, how old were you when you did this?
I could have been 16.
Just dumb fat. God, that's so much worse that you were 16. Just like 10-year-old Sean, I would have passed off of like, yeah, okay, you're just a dumb idiot 10-year-old. Like, I wonder if this hot dog. You knew that wasn't going to work.
I thought it could, and it was in my room. So
what
my
if
room
you'll
just
eat
stunk
this?
Like hell.
Oh no. I'd get a turtle and get like a Roomba and put them on top of the Roomba. I think that'd be kind of sick. Just let them chill on top of the Roomba.
I think here's what I know. Like that could be, if a turtle could actually perform a Roomba duty, that's good. Like a good thing about a dog is if you drop something on the floor, it's gonna come clean it up.
Yeah.
Which
is good and bad. If you drop something important on the floor.
Yeah. But I've gone down this rabbit hole on social media where these people like restore backyards and they rent out goats to clean out all the debris, and they'll like rent 40 goats, and in like 3 days there's going to be no vegetation. Like they just don't stop eating. They're animal. Like they're machines.
Well, yeah, they're animals. What were they?
Yeah, but that's really interesting.
Sentient beings.
That's more of like a concept of if you're building your own self-sustaining compound. I think goats would be solid.
All right, next question from Chester. Is it a bad idea to make the first one before that. Who had a better appearance on Howard Stern? Beetlejuice or Sabian?
Or the Sibian?
The Sibian. I only know who Beetlejuice is, so I'll let you answer this one.
Look, Beetlejuice is great. I love Juice. I'm a Ralph guy though. Every time Ralph comes on the show, I'm happy because nobody likes Ralph. How could you like Ralph? But I think he made really good radio. The Sibian stuff never really got me, just because I kind of grew up with porn in my digital porn my whole life. So the intrigue of a Do you know what the Sybian is? The Sybian is the vibrating seat that women would come on in the studio, or they would come into the studio and then they would sit on it and they would, obviously enjoy the Sybian. And that stemmed from listeners originally sitting on their speakers, women listeners sitting on their speakers, listening to Stern talk. They would call in, and the vibrations from the speakers would I guess.
All right.
What you want? I'm giving you some old school radio information here. I think I'm dancing around the topic. Okay.
Yeah.
The Sybian stuff never really intrigued me as much. Some of the stories are salacious. Yeah, of course it is. But I'm a Ralph guy, and then I am a I don't know. Artie versus Crazy Janice is awesome. I think though Beetlejuice is good. I like Beetlejuice, but he's a little too much for me at times.
This is a very complex question from Chester. Is it a bad idea to make a move on a woman if you've had relations with her twin sister? Yes. The answer to that question is yes. I mean, any sort of familial relation. Yes.
It's also not great.
Isn't it just ruin if they're compliant with it?
It doesn't feel good to ruin a friendship.
Yeah, you're ruining someone's family. If it's a sister, a mother, a cousin, anything, you're just ruining and creating a really awkward dynamic. No, the answer is no.
I broke up a roommate situation at Rhode Island one time.
Oh.
And that was you. I think you're familiar with some of this saga. And they, I think, were on very bad terms for a while.
Wait. Explain.
There was
elaborate. No one's gonna.
There was some relations. I think junior, senior year with one girl, and then another girl I started talking to, and I didn't know they were roommates, and then they ended up being roommates, and it did not go well. And I don't think they talked.
Okay, can you be more specific? What do you mean it did not go well?
I mean that they were very mad at each other, and they kept on texting me like, "Oh my God, this is awful. Like I have to move out. She hates me. I hate her." A lot of messy stuff.
You probably weren't going to date either one of them, so why were they so upset with you?
Because they didn't want to share, I guess. They didn't want to share the big fella, and I guess the big fella didn't really care at that point.
It's college. Why were they so upset? This is so stupid.
Because they were friends, and I think one of them actually liked me and wanted to date me, and the other one was just kind of like, coming over.
Why didn't you? Why? Okay, I don't remember this. Why wouldn't you? And it's a very, very famous. It's one of the most well-known Seinfeld references. The whole menage a trois thing.
Oh yeah.
Where he's trying to make the switch on the roommate, and he pitches it in order to make the switch, but they both end up being into the idea of. The three-way.
Why
wouldn't you? If you already screwed up the situation, why wouldn't you pitch that?
There was a bridge burned. The bridge is burned, and I think I was blocked pretty quickly.
Oh,
this was you
had the golden opportunity.
I'm telling you, it was not a golden opportunity. By the time I knew what happened, I was already excommunicado by the first one.
Just your lack of game, just game time decisions. Yeah, no halftime adjustments by you.
Sure, yeah.
No halftime adjustments.
My bad.
You had the golden situation.
I'll have to get with two girls. That's crazy.
Yeah. God, the halftime adjustments that could have been made.
Joe,
they're blitzing off the left side. We got to start sliding that way.
There was no.
We were slide left, and we're gonna freaking take shots deep. We get back into this football game.
We were down 48-0 at halftime, and we needed some garbage time points. Okay,
4 verts the whole game. All right. Next question. Pulp or no pulp?
Oh, this is a fantastic question. I was very anti-pulp my whole life, but I've turned around to appreciating pulp. But it has to be I can't be hungover drinking pulp. That's too much for me. But if I'm getting a nice orange juice and there's some froth or pulp in it, I'm having a good day. I'm officially not anti-pulp anymore. So I think I'm team pulp.
Pulp. Next question, Brendan. I don't know. The way that I read that question, I was kind of hoping that you I wanted to answer it as succinctly as possible because of how succinct the question was. To provide no response. Not a good job of.
I got a lot of thoughts on pulp, brother.
I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a short answer, and I was going to go as short as possible, so that didn't work, that joke. Brendan, last question. Who do you like better, SDSU fans or NDSU fans? We don't really have NDSU fans who support us. It's weird. Some of their creative department folks have pulled clips of ours for highlight tapes and stuff, which is cool.
Bison Rants reach out.
Yeah. their communications department does not like us, we think, because we tried to get Cody Mock on the show and we reached out to him and he agreed. He was like, yeah, I would love to come on the show. 3 days later, yeah, the communications department says I'm not allowed to. Didn't get any context there. I think that they don't like us.
Yeah. For how big North Dakota State's fan base is, we've always been like, why have they not ever clicked with us? So maybe it's the swearing, maybe it's the lack of knowledge.
Well, it's probably because we've shown a little bit of favoritism for.
They voted though. We didn't have any favoritism with South Dakota State until they voted and brought us onto campus.
Well, I also kind of think that
I don't even think there is anymore.
I kind of think though that
You guys should hear what Joe says to you when this.
All right, stop doing that bit because I don't say anything. Jeez. I kind of think it's one of those things where it's. I mean, not to sound like a dick, but it feels like North Dakota State fans most of them feel like they're a little too good for us because they're established, and South Dakota State fans are a little bit more free-flowing and fun, which is why we've clicked with them more. We literally witnessed that's what the types of fans, the difference of the fans are like when we were in the stands.
Yeah.
And there was the one goober who was being an ass and yelling at Brendan and Chad, and just like the groups of people that were there because North Dakota State was losing and they were all pissy and upset. And the South Dakota State fans, we see how much they just love being there and love being at a football game. I think that there's a clear
we
difference.
met a couple nice North Dakota State fans.
We did,
on that
certainly
trip.
did.
So it's not a monolith here.
Right,
that we're
right,
projecting,
right.
But overwhelmingly throughout this FCS process and getting to know fans, South Dakota State fans have been very nice. And there was a follow-up, Joe, all for one replied to that tweet, or which fans do you dislike the least? I guess, or
the least.
I'm not sure if that means who we like.
We don't really dislike any fans. There is only one fan base in college football that I dislike, and that's South Carolina fans. And I continue to push that. And USC fans are a close second because they are irrational, non-ball knowers. I don't think any FCS fans, there's specific individuals who have been quite crass, but we move past and ignore those people.
There was a good contingent of Montana fans that didn't like me, and I may have shared some sentiments last year about not liking the way that they were approaching some of my polls. But I understand they're football fans. They're talking to a guy that's putting out a football poll. I never took it to heart.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here like, oh no, I'll never support, or I'll never show love or do anything like that. I'm trying to think. Youngstown fans could be rather rude at times. Yeah, I don't know. In person,
no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna do that's a lame. Oh, they're turning the TVs on the bar to the Virginia Tech game.
No,
such
hey,
assholes.
if you had your ears open.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, they were actually pretty inappropriate.
They were throwing shit at us in our huddles.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, love the voicemails today, folks. 201-834-4308. Leave them. We have a great time with them, and we hope you do also. We love the Dan snack reviews. We love
more of those.
More dome talk. You can just also ask football questions if you want.
No.
But for the most part,
no football questions.
For the most part, we like the fun stuff on the Friday lunch hours.
I want business plan ideas. I want call in if you struck out at the bar and you need to commiserate. Tell us about your annoying roommate. Call us from the bathroom if you'd like to. We will play that on the show.
A mean precedent with that one, man.
Call us from the drive-through. You're ordering at the deli counter in your local supermarket. Call us from there. Call us from the DMV while you're standing in line and you need to get as loudly as possible, proclaim your frustrations in the middle of the DMV. All of those things I certainly encourage you to do in the middle of a work meeting.
Yeah,
call us.
If you feel
We'd love to hear your work meeting, we will play it on the show.
If you feel like you need an ear to speak to, treat
at the dentist.
Yeah, at the dentist. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Trying to think of more inappropriate settings
in a movie.
Your shout of the week. Yeah, in a movie. Yes. If you're in a movie, call us from inside of the movie theater. Please call us from the bar. I just want to get you calling us, leaving a voicemail, and someone rolls over. Who's that? Who are you talking to? You on the phone with someone? Who are you on the phone with?
Just hear the back quiet in front.
Get off the phone. All right, shout of the week before we close out.
All right, Sean, shout of the week. What you're going to eat, drink, and watch. Got a lot for you this week. Eat I have been craving an eggplant parm all week, and we'll be
If
venturing
you don't
out
order an
to
eggplant
find
parm
one.
this week, I'm going to
Shut
lose
your
my
mouth.
mind. You haven't ordered
Hey, grilled
any of this
chicken man,
shit.
why don't you zip it? A big stipulation on this, you need the balsamic on the eggplant. It's going to be grilled. It could be a sandwich. Doesn't need to be an eggplant parm. It's legitimately starting to get cold out, all right? So we need to get something nice and hot. But I want that sweet and savory combo, and I think a nice eggplant parm or grilled eggplant sandwich could go a long way this weekend. You can do your tube meats. You can do a hot steak. That's fine. That's not where I'm going, though. Drink. It's going to be a trash can beer weekend, folks. Again, it's legitimately cold. What's going to warm you up by a fire than a Natural Light, a Busch Light, a Keystone? Crushing those and throwing them into the fire. That's what you're going to want to do. It's nice. It's a nice brisk 55. I think I want a big, thick IPA. Go screw. Have some trash can beer. Start a fire. Drinks, rip darts with your buddies, and be hammered by 4 o'clock. You're drinking the bad stuff. Act like it. What you're going to watch. I watched 5 movies this week. I watched The Holdovers.
Too much time.
Snowpiercer, Wind River, Copland, and Brothers.
Look.
If you want a cozy movie, it's going to be Holdovers. Action is Snowpiercer. Fun mob movie is Copland, and that's probably the best out of the 5 that I watched this week. If you plan on getting problematically high, then watch Brothers. Honestly, that's probably the only way you're going to enjoy it. Dinklage and Brolin. Joe, this movie, I watched it last night. It was madness. It was trying so hard to be funny and to get catchphrases, and I was too sober to really enjoy it. But yeah, those are the recommendations. And Wind River, if you want to be really bummed out with a really good story, that's the movie you want to watch. I can't imagine you want to do that, though.
Joe's shot of the week. We're going to do as we do every single week. We're going to make a overcooked steak in a pan. You're going to track down the LeBron Hennessy, and you're going to drink half of the bottle and then call your ex-girlfriend at approximately 2:30 in the morning, as incoherent of a conversation as possible. And what you're going to watch in the morning is her Instagram page when you're completely depressed and upset because she didn't respond. Just kidding. I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing any of that. That's what I want you folks to do. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hex City Pod. We'll talk to you folks later.